Hello and welcome back to the channel. In this video, I'll be sharing with you a tutorial on how to cut and sew this stylish halter neck backless corset. If you haven't yet seen the drafting tutorial, please go ahead to check it on the YouTube channel, or I'm going to leave the link at the description box. So if you haven't yet subscribed to my YouTube channel, please go ahead to hit on the subscribe button. So let's dive right into today's video. So here's my fabric, and I have iron interfacing on both the lining and the main fabric. So the next step I'll take is to go ahead to start cutting out my pattern, and I'll first of all cut on the lining piece, which I ironed a gum stay on. So I used a light gum stay, so I had to iron it twice on the fabric. So, but if you have a thicker gum stay, it's preferable to use that. So I'm just working with what I have available at home. So I'll just go ahead to add ½ inch while cutting this out, and I'll be using this also to cut out my main fabric. I'll also go ahead to cut this, and I'm just adding ½ inch at the upper part and at the lower part. I'll add ½ inch in front of this because I'll be using ½ inch to stitch in front of the lacing bar area. So while cutting this also, I'm going to go ahead to add ½ inch all the way around this pattern. And after I'm done cutting this, I'll just go ahead to use this to also cut out my main fabric. So here's my main fabric, which I ironed stay on it. So I had to double my stay also to make the fabric stable. So I did this because the interfacing I used on the lining piece is a bit light. I used a light gum stay, which I had to double. So if you're using a thicker interfacing for your lining, such as a thicker gum stay, or if you're using a peplum stay on your lining, you can go ahead to just iron your stay once on your fabric. So I'll just go ahead and cut out the side. So here is the cup area of this pattern, and I ironed stay on it also. So all I'm going to do now is to place my pattern, and I'm going to be notching the center, and also any excess I have on the lining piece, I'll go ahead to trim it out. So you're notching that part that has the dart because you're going to be stitching up the dart area of this pattern, corset pattern. So you measure your dart and then add extra ½ inch to it because you added ½ inch on your pattern for joining. So after I was done sewing up my dart, this is what I have. Now you're going to attach your already made cup to it. So I want my cup to cover my bust area very well. So I bought a cup that is 2 inches bigger than my cup size, and I'll be adding a 3 inches dart on it. If you want a push-up effect, you can go ahead to buy your cup size or the one that is smaller than your bust. So these are the main reasons for buying your cup, either for a push-up effect or to cover your bust or carry your bust very well. Now to join this pattern to your cup, there are 2 ways, which is the method where you'll be stitching it down with your sewing machine. That is, you have to go ahead and pin and drag your fabric to make sure that your cup sits very well. So this method might be slightly difficult if you're not patient enough to pin and make sure that the cup is stable on the fabric. So another method is which I used, that is using your hemming gum to attach your cup. If you don't want to use a hemming gum to attach your cup, you can go ahead to use your uhu gum or any gum of your choice to attach your cup. So here is my cup on my tailor's arm, and I'm going to place my hemming gum on it, and after I'm done placing it on it, I'll go ahead to iron it. So when you're working with this, you have to be very careful on the placement of your cup. And another thing is your iron. You should be careful to avoid it burning your fabric, especially if you're not using a steam iron just like mine, or you can just sprinkle a little water to avoid it burning directly on your dress. So I'll go ahead and iron until it sits flat or properly on the fabric, sits properly on the cup. And this is the part that you need to be very careful about and patient while doing it also. So after I'm done ironing my cup, this is what I have. Now I also forgot to mention that when you're placing your cup, you should at least have close to 0.3 inches or 0.5 close to the lower part of your cup. So after ironing, this is what I have, and I'll repeat the same to the other side. Now you're also going to be trimming off some excess that you will have on the bra cup. So this is what I have, and I'll go ahead to start trimming out the excess I have on the cup, because with this you'll notice that your bra cup is slightly bigger than your cup. So go ahead to just trim it out, leaving about 0.3 or half inch round that you'll be using to attach your cup. And I'll also repeat it at this other side also. After trimming, the next step is to join your cup together with the body. So you'll be joining it with half inch, pin this part that you notched, and you're going to start pinning this all the way round. And after pinning, that is when you go ahead to join your cup. So if you notice, I pinned the center, then pinned this side. So now I'll now place the body, and I'll start pinning it together. So after I'm done pinning, I will also go ahead to pin the other one and stitch with half inch. So whatever I'm doing to the main fabric, I'm also doing to the lining piece of the dress. I'm also stitching up the darts and joining the body. So this is me after I'm done joining my cup, and this is what I have. This is my lining piece also. Now on the lining piece, I'll just go ahead and attach or stitch down a boning channel. So the more boning you add, the more structured your dress is. And while adding your boning, go ahead to leave about half inch at the lower part. So I just added 3 boning to mine, so you can go ahead and add more than this. Now I'll place my fabric and I'll pin it down, and I will be stitching this pattern. So while stitching it, the part I'll be stitching is from the armhole of my dress. I'll take it to the upper part, stitch this side with half inch, and the center stitch with half inch. Go ahead also to stitch the armhole, and go ahead to stitch the lower part with half inch. After stitching, I'll just go ahead to notch it all the way round, and after this I'll go ahead to open it up. And you want to notch the center very well, if not the neckline will not sit properly. Also notch the armhole and the lower part also. Now you're going to go ahead to turn it to the right side. After turning it to the right side, this is what I have. Now this is my back pattern, and this is the lining of the back pattern. Now we are going to go ahead to place the lining and the main piece together and stitch with half inch at the upper part. Now you're going to place the sides of the back pattern and the sides of the front pattern. Open it up this way. Now you're going to use the back pattern to wrap the side of the front pattern, and you'll be pinning it with half inch. And after you're done pinning it, you're going to be stitching with half inch. So that means that your measurement really needs to align or accurate. If not, your pattern will not sit properly by the side when you're doing this. So I'm just going to go ahead to place the front pattern in between, and I will pin. So after I'm done pinning, I will go ahead to stitch it down with half inch on the machine, thereby removing the half inch joining allowance we added on both sides of the pattern. Now after I'm done stitching, this is what I have. So after I'm done stitching that, this is what I have if you open it up. So you notice that there's no joining at the side. The joining is not showing. Now the next step is to go ahead to stitch the other end. Now you're going to take the whole corset pattern and you're going to be flipping it inside the back pattern this way. You're going to tuck it in. Now what you do is you go over to the sewing machine and stitch with half inch. After I was done stitching, I notched it, and this is what I have on this side. So I'll be running about ½ inch, like 3 times on my pattern. This is to create the lacing area on this side. So after this, I'll be passing my boning. So after passing my boning on this side, I'll pass another one at the end. So I ran like 3 lines on it. The first is a boning line, the second is for my eyelet, and then the last one is also for my boning. So if you notice, I didn't add a boning to the back pattern. So this is because I'm okay with the boning and the lacing of this dress. I'm making it as a blouse, so if you want it to be that very structured, go ahead and add extra boning to the body of the corset, apart from the lacing area of the corset pattern. So after this, I went ahead to open up the lower part by ½ inch a bit, and I'll be folding it and top stitching it down. So the next part is the upper part, the extension to join. So what I did was I measured what I had there, which is 1 inch. So I cut out 3 inches by 11 inches. That's 10 inches for the neckline and ½ inch for the joining on both sides. So I'll stitch it down with ½ inch, and then I'll pass this elastic, which will reduce the size of this band at the neckline. This will also help to adjust or fit in your dress, whether it's your size or not. So to fix the elastic, I'll place it with ½ inch, stitch it down, then refold it to give it a clean look at the back. Just stitch with ½ inch and then top stitch it at the back so that it will have a clean look. So after I was done sewing, this is what I have. If you find this tutorial very interesting and educative, please don't forget to hit on the subscribe button. Give this video a thumbs up and join us in our next video. Thanks.